Hi guys, today is garden bed maintenance day, and what that means for me is going around bed by bed and doing a little weeding, deadheading. We do have some perennial cutback. I did notice in the butterfly garden this morning that the nepeta is spent, which I'm okay with because we got 3 full blooms out of that nepeta. So the pollinators loved it. I'm happy with it, but I do want to get ahead of all of the fall cleanup, and I am a little behind in summer cleanup because it was just so hot, you guys. Honestly, I didn't want to come out here with 90% humidity because it doesn't matter just standing out here for a few minutes. You just turn into a sweat bucket, and I didn't want to deal with it. So that's what I'm doing today because we've got 70-degree weather. There is a breeze, the sun is out, and there's no humidity. So I am so happy that we're doing this today as opposed to a few days ago. So what I want to do is I want to get the 2 beds in the front yard done, the butterfly garden in the back, and then right over along the back side where we planted those green mountain boxwoods, I want to kind of go in there where the end of the swale is, remove some of the rock and dig up some of the grass that has kind of grown into the swale and just kind of clean that area up a little bit. So let's go out to the front yard and I'll show you those 2 beds first, and then we'll get to work on those, and then I'll show you the after, and then we'll just kind of move around bed to bed and kind of do a little before and after. Now it's not going to be this dramatic, huge makeover, but it is just tidying things up, cleaning things up, and just making it look a little bit more, what's the word? Maintained, I guess. That's the best word I can think of. I do know that there is a Helen von Stein lamb's ear in the front bed that is just beyond my expectations for growth. That thing took off and I did peek underneath it and it's quite frightening. So let's go out there and check it all out. As we make our way through the zinnia patch and vegetable garden, we come upon the first of the front flower beds where we have got, you can see we've got our limelight hydrangeas, a Miss Violet butterfly bush. This is the Helen von Stein lamb's ear, and look at this thing. It is massive, you guys, but this is what I was talking about. If you go underneath, yikes. There's a lot of dead, so we need to kind of clean all that up, get some airflow going. These are the Pugster Pinker butterfly bushes. Now, these are a non-sterile variety, so you do want to come in and clean up these dead spent blooms because they do go to seed, and while they are not invasive here, I do know that in some areas they are deemed invasive, so you can just remove these spent blooms before they go to seed. Behind the butterfly bushes, we have an agastache back here that is dead, so I'm going to remove that. And I didn't even notice until just now. Where did you come from? We have a denim and lace Russian sage over here. Ooh, so pretty. This might need to be moved though because the Pugster Pinkers have really filled out. They're huge. Right over here, we've got our Jazz Hands Pink Loropetalum, which I love this. It's an ever red. It's an evergreen, but I call it an ever red because look at that. It just stays this beautiful red and green. Love it. Back over here, we've got our limelight hydrangeas, which you can see have flopped a little bit, but I'm not going to mess with them back there. I'm gonna wait until the fall when everything kind of dies back a little more. That way I can get a better idea of which branches I want to take off now and which I want to do in the spring. I think what I'm going to do is take off the ones that are laying so close to the ground, and I'll leave all the ones that are standing upright. But yeah, all in all, this bed is just packed. Same thing in this bed. We're just going to come in here, get some of these weeds that are just popping up. They're poking through the nepeta, and this is the nepeta hedge that we planted earlier this year. You guys, it's looking so good. I am not going to cut any of this back because there's too much pollinator activity on here, and I really just don't want to mess with it. Towards the back, you can see that we've got some weeds back there that we need to pull. We're going to deadhead the Nephophias. Our Pugster periwinkles, we'll deadhead those as well. We've got the pink profusion salvia in here, and I think I might cut this back part out because I tucked it in too far and it's stretching towards the sun. So I may clean that up a little bit, but the ones in the front, they're in bloom. So I'm just gonna leave them alone and let the pollinators take care of it. But just kind of coming in here and just yanking all these weeds that are starting to pop through the plants or that are hidden back there. It's not too much. And then cutting some of these suckers from the Scentlandia out. We'll have to get rid of some of these. It's not too bad. Some more deadheading. Look. Oh, we got some bumblebees hanging out over here. They do this all the time. They just kind of hang out. Love it though. Oh, there's a honeybee back there too. Oh look, there's another bumblebee. I love it. I love this whole area right here. Okay, so that takes care of what we're gonna do in the front yard. Now let's go to the backyard and the butterfly garden, and I'll show you what I wanna do here. It's pretty much the same thing, but I'll just kind of walk you through real quick. So back over here in the butterfly garden, we're going to be removing some of these crepe myrtle suckers that have made their way all the way to the edge of the bed from the crepe myrtle back here. And if I come back in here, you can see that there's a bunch of suckering going on right at the base. But this is what I love. For a mature crepe myrtle, when it starts to cool down, it starts to shed its bark. Look at that. It's like curls of bark, and it just drops it all over the base like a mulch. And it's so pretty. I love it. Anyways, we've got some spent blooms on the alliums to remove, some deadheading on the butterfly bush. The white one's Veronica. I'm gonna leave it alone because there's just too much pollinator activity back here too. This is a bee balm. I think this is a leading lady plum, but I may just kind of deadhead it because it did suffer some powdery mildew. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll just kind of clean up some of the foliage. This is the nepeta that we're going to cut back, and some more crepe myrtle suckers puckering through, and then just some more deadheading of the butterfly bushes and pulling some weeds. And as far as deadheading the butterfly bushes, all I do is just follow the spent bloom down to the next set of leaves and just cut it off and just remove it. That's it. The little lime hydrangea standard, I'm going to leave that alone until the fall. You can see one of those blooms has just completely gone sideways, and that's just because of the rain. The rain weighed down this bloom because it's so massive. So we'll take care of that later on in the fall. But like a lot of these weeds that are coming through from like the neighbor's side, we'll get rid of. Just kind of make this area look a little nicer. Although it's not looking too bad. And after we get all that done, depending on how I feel, I may come down towards the end of the swale here and just remove these rocks, get rid of this grass. And I think I may be pulling all of these fern hostas. They just kind of started to die. Look at that. So I'm just going to set up a camera in front of each bed, capture everything, get everything done, and then I'll give you an update bed by bed as we go along. All right, guys, here we go. All right, guys, we got the front beds done. We're going to start over here by the vegetable garden gate, and I'll walk you through real quick. So this bed is pretty densely packed. So is the one on the other side, not as much though, but this one has the 3 limelights in the back with the 2 little limes, the loropetalum, dwarf Alberta spruce. So this whole back area here is so well packed and it's so widespread, you can barely see the mulch. So not a lot of light gets in through there. So the weed pressure towards the back is pretty non-existent. But as you come around to where the sky pencil holly is and the butterfly bushes, the Nephofia, there's a lot more mulch exposed, and that's where I noticed a lot more weed pressure. So that's pretty much the area that I focused on today. So right over here between the dwarf Alberta spruce and the butterfly bushes, we had an agastache here that died. So I pulled that, weeded a little bit around through here, and pulled up a lot of the weeds all around the edge over here, came in and deadheaded a lot of the butterfly bush, the spent blooms, especially particularly on these 3 because they're a non-sterile variety. These are the Pugster pinkers. And just by getting rid of all those dead spent blooms, the whole plant just looks, or all 3 of them, there's 3 here, they all just look so much, they look fresher. They look rejuvenated a little bit. The, the Helen von Stein lamb's ear, I came in and just kind of got underneath it all and cleaned up as much as I could. There's still quite a bit of dead under here, but I didn't want to take everything completely out because I think it's actually acting as like a support a little bit for the top growth. So in the fall, when we cut it all back, we'll just clean it all up there. The Miss Violet butterfly bush, now this is a sterile variety, so this actually doesn't need any deadheading except for aesthetic purposes. So I came in and just did a light prune on this, but I actually like the color of the bloom against the color of the spent bloom. It's like this purple against this black. So pretty. And then just came in and just kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit all around before I moved on to this bed over here, which I pretty much just did the same thing. Cleaned up some of the weeds back in through here. I cleaned up some of the suckers from the Scentlandias because they do like to send out little runners here and there. So got those all cleaned up, and I came in. Look at all the, can you guys see all the pollinator activity on the butterfly bushes? Look at this. Look at that. Oh my God, that's beautiful. Oh, I love it. Anyway, so I came in here and did the same thing. Deadheaded the butterfly bushes, but I didn't go too heavy on the pruning because I came in underneath and I kind of lifted the canopies up a little bit and exposed a lot of the underplanting here with our salvia and the nepeta. Kind of just lifted it all up and got some airflow and light in here because you can see like right back here, they're stretching to get into the light. So, oops, I just ran into the trash can. So I didn't go too crazy on the deadheading here because I focused more on lifting the canopy. Got in here, did some weeding, had a bunch of weeds popping through, deadheaded the Nephofia, and that's it. I did come in here too towards the back, and I did cut back the buddleias a little bit to give a little bit more airflow to the hydrangeas and our little dwarf blue spruce. And these are the Bobo hydrangeas, and they're one of my favorites. Look at them. They are just covered head to toe in blooms. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? There's that butterfly again, you guys. If anybody knows what it is, Let me know. I've seen it here a couple times. Well, maybe not that exact same one, but that same variety. So all in all, it was just a pretty general type of a cleanup. I didn't want to go in here and cut back the Nepeta because there's too much pollinator activity over here. I'm hoping back in through here that the salvia kind of rebounds a little bit by lifting that canopy. But yeah, all in all, just a general type of weeding and pruning, deadheading. They don't look too much different, but they definitely look a lot fresher and a little healthier, I think. All of that dead foliage is gone. So now we can move on to the butterfly garden in the back. All right guys, we got the butterfly garden done. So I came in and removed all the suckers here, and I missed a piece of onion grass, of course. Look at that. Ugh. Anyways, came in here and removed all the suckers from the crepe myrtle, pulled out some weeds and some more weeds, cleaned up all the spent blooms on the alliums, pulled a whole bunch of suckers from the crepe myrtle. They were all over, especially along the edge of the bed too. Then we came back towards the back, got rid of some more onion grass, some more suckers, just kind of cleaned this whole back area out. I came in and removed a lot of these dead stems from the salvia. I left the veronica alone. This is the back to the fuchsia. Kind of cleaned it up a little bit, got rid of some of the crunchy leaves, but it's blooming still, so I left it alone. Deadheaded the butterfly bush, got rid of all of the spent blooms for the most part. Cleaned up the bottom a little bit too, kind of just brought it up because there was a couple branches just laying across on the mulch, so figure it's better to just get them off the ground. All of the veronica I left alone because there's pollinators here. Look at that. So I wanted them to have something to feed on because the autumn joy sedum right in between these two arborvitaes, it hasn't bloomed fully yet, but it's getting ready to. So I felt okay leaving these and cutting back all of the catmint, the Nepeta. And if you look closely, this is what's underneath it, a whole new fresh set of leaves. So hopefully we can see, we still have a little bit of time. Let's see if we can get all of these to do a fourth flush of blooms. Over here by the little lime standard, did the same thing, cleaned up all of the dead spent blooms on the Pugster blues, went back in, pulled up some weeds through there, some more onion grass, crabgrass, and just basically cleaned up the edge all along here. You can see we've got a little bit of tip burn on our weeping blue spruce from the heat wave. It was just too much, but it'll be okay. It's still looking beautiful. So all in all, it doesn't look like, oh my God, but it does look so much more cleaned up, maintained, zhuzhed. But I'm overall, I'm really happy with this bed and the two in the front. Okay, let's take one last look at the beds in the front. Looking so good. Our other bed. It's so pretty. I love seeing all of the pollinator activity on here. I wonder if you guys can see it because I know it's really bright, but God, there's just every time we walk by, it's just like this poof of butterflies and everything that just fly off of it. There's that butterfly again, you guys. So cool. And look at the Kniphofia. My God, these bumblebees are just going to town. Like, they just hang out here. It's like a red hot poker high. And we're back at our butterfly garden. Super happy with all of it. This whole section right here, I think I'm just gonna do it another day. I am just not feeling it. Plus, getting in those beds, moving all that foliage around and kicking up a lot of mulch, I think I disrupted some gnats and flies because they were just kind of swarming all over the place. And when they're just buzzing around in your face, trying to get in your eyes, it's not fun. So I think I'm gonna call it for today. Let them settle down, and I'll come out another day and finish up the boxwoods and getting rid of those hostas, possibly, I'm not sure yet. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to bring you along today and show you what kind of like a regular day of maintenance looks like here. It was actually a little bit more than a regular day because of the heat wave, I didn't want to come out and work, so everything kind of just piled on. Normally, I like to attack a bed, like I'll do one bed one day or 1 week and then get to another bed like a few days later and kind of keep that cycle going. But because it was so hot, I just didn't want to come out and do anything. So everything kind of piled up, and now we're all kind of back on schedule again. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.